Alrighty, last corporation tier list video, at least until the prelude two corporations are confirmed to be what they were spoiled. But yeah, last one on the everything that exists so far, and it's the last final four promo corps. And this was one of the toughest groups for me because I have a lot less experience with it, and they're a lot more gimmicky. With exception, no, they're all gimmicky. They're all very gimmicky. But yeah, let's just quickly go over the tiers again. The best corporations that are just broken. Probably, if you get them, you'll probably win. Then always solid, self-explanatory. High combo potential are corporations that, with a good hand, they can be great, better than always solid even. And with a mediocre hand, they can do okay, right? Playable, again, self-explanatory. Needs a hand. Corporations that, if they get a hand, they can be good, they can be competitive. But without it, they just suck, right? So you need a hand to play them, or don't even try it. Needs that hand is just like that, but that hand is probably very unlikely, or the ceiling is even lower. So even with a great hand, they're like somewhere along the playable level. And finally, unplayable is these four pieces of crap here that need no introduction. But let's begin. And so let's begin with the other big box promo, Astrodrill. Now, I recently did a video, I compared it to Saturn Systems, concluded that Astrodrill is actually pretty decent. Like, I would have put this at needs the hand originally, because, and I don't, maybe probably the first here, because, I mean, that asteroid card is impossible to get, basically. And just odds are really low, but this ability, just getting all that titanium, is actually pretty decent. Like, I'm ranking Utopia up here just because it has 5 income. Now that's a lot more than what they get, because I compare it to, in that video, to Saturn, which gets 4 and a little more flexible, and Saturn gets more at the end of the game. Utopia obviously would get more at the end of the game, and they have an additional skill. And Saturn also has this, which probably gives them a few tags here and there. But this is pretty decent. I'm not sure. The things that you do need, unlike Utopia, where you can play building tags early, which there are a bunch of good ones, and Saturn, which makes your Jovian space tags a little better, but also gets some more flexible income and more starting cash. They both get more starting cash. With Astrodrill, and remember the official version, my image says 38, but it starts with 35. With Astrodrill, you just need space tags, and there aren't that many good space tags early, so I'm gonna say needs a hand, right? And here I would rank it at the top because it's honestly good economy, and you have the possibility of getting an asteroid card. I'm gonna put it at the top of needs a hand. But you do need some good space tags, and there really just aren't that many. At least for economic development. Now, if you get them, it's great, because you essentially have 3 titanium production the first 3 generations. You have 27 cash to spend the first 3 generations. And beyond that, you get, 3 every other generation. I won't go in, how much money that is. I can just tell you to watch that video, and that it's a little weaker than Saturn overall, basically. And so that's why it's a tier lower. Also, the Jovian tag is better than the space tag. But yeah, moving on. Let's go with Factorum. Okay, so Factorum. Let's first look at it. So it starts with 37 and a steel production, energy and steel tag, and you can either, every time you have an action, you can either raise your energy production if you have no energy. So it's not, if your energy production doesn't have to be 0, you just have to spend your energy, whether it's with a bumper or with high-tech lab, which is probably where it's more broken, and you can increase your energy. High-tech lab is obviously the most broken one, because you can always just empty your energy and then just basically look at the deck. So that's actually one of the most powerful combos in the game, but it's just one card, so I'm not gonna take it too much into account. But if you don't raise your energy, or basically because you have energy, you can tap 3 and draw a steel tech. And these two abilities interact very well because a lot of steel techs, whether it is cities or, you know, strip mine, electro catapult, they require AI Central. They require energy production. Most of the cards that require energy production, like decrease energy productions, are steel techs. So it just interacts great. I usually like to draw. I mean, if I don't start with some steel techs, I'd like to draw, and then increase play until I can draw again. The problem with it is that like neither ability is that useful like past maybe the 5th generation. And so you can ramp up to a very good economy, but after that you are pretty weak. So I'm gonna say it's... Is it high combo potential? I mean, it has a great combo with like some things, but I can't rank it higher than Thorgate when you take colonies into account. Because it's actually hard to get to the 3. It's much easier to get to the 3 with Thorgate, right? Because, I mean, it starts with 1, but you can get there in the 1st generation. But then you have to find a way to spend 1 energy without decreasing your production to get to 3. And now, this second ability is way better than Thorgate's, absolutely. But with colonies, I like Thorgate a little better just because how fast it gets to 3 energy. I am going to put it above Arclight because of that interaction with High Tech Lab. Like, it has some great combos, like High Tech Lab and Oxygen Bumpers are all good. And if you get, like, good power-hungry card, like Electro Catapult or, you know, AA Central, then it's just way cheaper to play. Like, it's 0 for an energy production. But other than that, it's not... Drawing building text near the end of the game is pretty useless, and you actually end up wasting your money on it. And these eventually you get energy production and you can't use it either. So I find that you usually can draw until Gen 5 maybe 2 or 3 cards and then increase your energy 3 times, and that's just not better than Thorgate to me. So yeah, I'm gonna put Factorum there. It has a lot of potential, but it's like really that ability tapers up near the end of the game, and the starting cash is pretty weak, so you do need some steel techs. But I'm not gonna put it in its hand because it sort of generates its own hand, right? It can draw its own steel tags, and it can do the energy thing, if not. Now let's talk about Mons. Okay, Mons is straight up broken into player. If I was only ranking 2 player, I would put it here, because think about it. I mean, let's look what it does. You start with +4 cash production, every other player gets -2. And by the way, the flavor on this being an insurance is amazing. If only you could deny your claims somehow. But, yeah. Then, like, that sounds too good to be true, and that's because it is, but that's because every time you decrease a production or kill someone's resources, or I think stealing counts for that. I'm not sure if stealing counts for that, actually, but that's interesting. Like, something like hired raiders. It probably does, it should. Then you have to pay that player 3. Now, think about how not relevant that is in 2-player games, because, well, whenever they steal from you, you can pay yourself 3, so it doesn't matter. And then whenever you steal from another player, first of all, you get to choose, like, do you want to pay a 3 extra for, you know, birds? And you probably do, but not sabotage. So basically just makes a few cards less useful. But also compare, like, if you played 1 of those cards per turn in a 2-player game, that's 3 cash that you're giving that player, and that sort of evens out the production, and that's basically impossible to do, right? Because, like, if you pay them 3, they are getting 3, so it's like your production except 1, and you're losing 3, so it's like your production lost 1. So paying them once basically means that the production advantage is gone. And so if you play 1 of those cards per generation, then this corp sucks. But you're not going to do that. Now, the problem is not all games are 2-player. In 3-player, now this becomes like a... It's funny, because it means the other 2 players are going to want to hit each other, because if they hit you, they don't make you pay the penalty. but it's not really that bigger a deal. I mean, it's a little bigger, and if you go 4 and 5, it's even bigger. Um, because at the end of the day, you get things like sabotage. Like now, everyone's getting screwed with sabotage because whoever plays it paid 4. Uh, Whoever gets this loses a 7 cash is paying 4, and you're paying 3. So you paid 1. you're still the biggest beneficiary from sabotage in a 3-player game. But it does drop, and it drops. I would say to always solid that like the starting production is too good. I would say it's weaker than Haridor because Haridor can get to 4 production fast and bring in a colony. Lakefront can easily get to 3 and starts with more cash. I'm gonna say below Terractor. Below Terractor, but if you consider the 2-player game, like it's weaker than Terractor in a 3-player, but it's much stronger in a 2, so I'm gonna put it there. That this is insane. This advantage to start in a 2-player game, it's insane. In a 3-player game, players are gonna hit each other, and the thing is like they're a little less likely to hit you because then you have to pay the other player. But then like playing demos and the other guy's a plant player, it's even better because they're hitting you for money, right? But yeah, Mons Insurance, pretty fun. And our last corporation to rank, Philares. And okay, so let's look at Philares. Philares starts with 47 in a greenery, which is really high for a ground corp. And then the effect is whenever a new adjacency is created between you and another player, you gain a standard resource. And this can be a lot. Like, you usually think of tiles, we don't think of how many adjacencies you create in a game. And it really depends. Probably 2 players, this isn't as good because maybe if there's only one player in the ground and the other is only mildly there, then you might see 5, 7 adjacencies. But in 3-player, you'll probably get 2 on the ground. And one of them is probably going to go to the ground with you, and then you are just going to scare them away. Now, the 2 best resources, titanium and plants, are probably what you're going to get most of the time. But the most important thing is like the ability for Philares to just get plants. Like as much as they want. It kind of feels like having Arctic algae a little bit. Because you can, like if you place a city next to 2 or a greenery next to 2 of the other player styles, and those ideally you're not playing your greeneries next to their cities, but there's a lot of other things you can do. Then you're picking up 2 plants from that, and then you might be picking 2 plants from the board. And so at the beginning of the game, it's not rare to be able to get 4 plants without much thought. And the other thing is that players are really reluctant to like steal your greeneries, like place cities next to your greeneries. You are very, very much the second most annoying corporation on the ground to be against, with the first being Acadian and the third being Tharsis. And I think this is just slightly weaker than Acadian communities. Yeah, Acadian can block better, and it also has a much better eco. It starts with 60, and then it picks off, like you pick up 1 standard resource, they're probably picking up 3 cash a bunch of times, which is better, right? Even though you can pick up plants, which adjacencies, but I think this is better. And the way they can just block people off, like if you put these 2 together, then Acadian just blocks you off with their cubes, and Philares just suffers. And so that's why I rank it a little lower, but they play kind of similarly. They're a ground corp that just keep other players away from the ground, and if you do that and the player was already chosen a ground corp like Ecoline or Tharsis, then you probably already won the game. So the thing is, like, they keep them but not really, so they have to go to ground and just give you all your bonuses. And just styles become really good for you. Just restricted area, urbanized area, commercial district, all of those cards become much better for you because of all that they do. But yeah, I'm gonna put it in high combo potential because it still needs a ground game, right? And if it does, if you get some plant prod or some cities, then it becomes one of the most annoying corporations in the game. So it goes in that tier with all these. So a lot of ground corps here, exception being Byron and Valley Trust, which they don't need the steel tax from the ground game. They just need, you know, to be able to tap or get the right preload. But yeah, anyway, that's it for my video today. Let me know what you think. Hope you enjoy it, and yeah, let me know what you think of the whole tier list. And yeah, see you next time.